Okay, so what you have seen earlier on is harmonization of different melody notes in the key of C, okay, using chords. Alright, and I'm using this as fundamentals to starting to beginning jazz, okay, because I feel that it's a very important concept to learn. Alright, jazz guitar is unfortunately not like rock guitar or blues guitar or any other kind of style you see, where you learn a few chords, learn a few scales, pentatonics especially, you know, get a jam track, jam over it. Okay, I hope it's that easy, but it's really not. Alright, learning jazz requires a lot of theory understanding. You need to understand a lot of chord constructions, theory, substitution laws, scales, arpeggios, and things like that. Okay, so I'm using this exercise as a primer, alright, as an interesting thing for you to learn chord constructions, and I hope you enjoy it. Okay, so without further ado, let's begin. Okay, I just want to start with a revision of chord constructions. Alright, every chord is made up of 3 notes. Okay, the root, the third, and the fifth. Okay, the question is, what kind of root, what kind of third, what kind of fifth? Is it a sharp note or a flat note? Okay, so in chord constructions, okay, basically it starts off with 4 different categories of chords. The major, which is the root, third, and the fifth. The minor, which consists of root, the flatted third, and the fifth. Okay, the augmented, which is the root, the sharp third, and the sharp fifth. And the diminished, which is the root, the flat third, and the flat fifth. Okay, so these 4 categories are your basic categories, and out of these 4, okay, the major and the minor are the most frequently used. In fact, if you take any song from Beatles, the 80s, the 90s, Skid Row and stuff like that, okay, or any praise and worship song you hear for that matter, most of the time you use either a major chord or minor chord. Okay, very seldom you hear a diminished chord being used, especially in worship, or an augmented chord. Okay, so a further extension to that, okay, I was just saying about triads. Alright, rock and roll music uses a lot of triads. Okay, rock music, pop music, a lot of triads are used. Okay, with the exception of modern contemporary ones like maybe John Mayer. He uses a lot of jazz voicings. Okay, and stuff like that. Okay, so what are jazz chords? Okay, if you further add a note to this triad, okay, you have an extension. Okay, and the first note that you can add is a 7th note. Okay, so all your chords, okay, in the triad, they are like, for example, in the key of C, you have C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, which are notes in the scale, right? C, D, E, F, G, A, B, back to C. Okay, every individual note have a chord. Okay, in the case of the root note, you have a C major chord. Okay, the D note, you have a D minor. E note, you got E minor, or here. Then you got F major, G major, A minor, okay, B diminished, C, and so on. Okay, when you add a 7th note into it, it becomes a C major 7. Okay, a D minor 7, E minor 7, F major 7, G 7, A minor 7. Okay, B half diminished, back to a C major, and so on. Okay, so when you add a 7th note, it becomes root, third, fifth, 7th. Okay, so in the key of C, the first category becomes a major 7. We have the root, third, fifth, and the major 7. Okay, then the minor chord, the minor triad, becomes a minor 7 kind of chord. Okay, that means it has a root, a flat third, a fifth, and a flat 7. Okay, and then next category, instead of augmented or diminished, okay, I'm going to come back to that in later clips. But the next category you have are the dominant 7s. Okay, which are basically major chord triads with a flatted 7. Okay, in this case it's a root, third, fifth, and flat 7. Okay, in the diatonic family, alright, the root, the 1, the 4, and the 5, okay, are always major in diatonic context. 2, 3, and 6 are always minor. Okay, the 7 is always a diminished. Alright, but in the case of the quartal kind of voicing, okay, in a chord voice or a key voice in quartal voicing, 4 notes, okay, the 1 and the 4 are major 7s, The 5 is a dominant 7. The 2, 3, and 6 are minor 7s. The 7 is a half diminished. Okay, so I know that all these terms are very confusing to you. Alright, that's what I'm talking about. Jazz is a bit confusing because a lot of theory involved. Okay, but pick up whatever you can, right, from here, and then in later clips hopefully I can come up with more information. Okay, so in the next clip I'll go through chord constructions for 7 chord voicings.